welcome to another episode of the Ride Pure podcast, coming to you live from the Motorverse 2022. Next up, I have a very, very special guest, someone who's been an absolute trailblazer, someone who started it all in India, the first Indian to have competed in and finished the toughest motorsport event in the world, the Dakar Rally. CS, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you with us at the Motorverse, and obviously it's been a pleasure sort of knowing you and now getting to speak to you on our podcast. So welcome to Motorverse.
Thank you, Adarsh. Thank you for having me. It's been wonderful being here in Goa with all of these things that are basically on a motorcycle but a festival in a manner as well. So I love the Ridermania in what it basically entails. And also the fact that we're getting together in this format because I've basically seen podcasts, but basically, what's his name? The American guy. Joe Rogan. Yeah, Joe Rogan. Yes.
Yeah.
I've seen him and he's interviewed some amazing people. And I'm like, wow, it's very interesting that what he does. So I follow him and I can't believe I'm actually having this with you. So it's incredible.
And what's even more exciting is that this is your first podcast. It's amazing that we're doing this on the Ride Pure podcast. So thanks for having us. Just give us a little bit about what it's been like over the last few days. You've been at the Motorverse, you've been riding around Goa on the Himalayas, meeting a whole bunch of new people, and everybody is just really excited to see you and talk to you and come and take pictures with you. What's that been like?
So just to say it in that manner, when I did my first Dakar, me and 5 other people I thought would know that I finished the Dakar. And when I came back, there were all these people outside the airport and I was completely surprised. It's pretty much the same feeling, me being here at Ridermania, because I had no idea that people actually knew me in that manner. So I was like, I was a bit surprised and also loved by all these people that share the same energy on that motorcycle. So it's been incredible for me being here with them in that manner.
And what are the guys saying to you when they come up to you and talk to you, and what are they talking to you about?
So it's not a particular conversation that I can say, but you can just feel the love that they have in terms of what they do, and they see me as them in a manner because I represent what any individual rides a motorcycle. We all have that fabric. So I'm able to relate to them in that manner. So it's that kind of relationship that I share with every person that I meet here in Ridermania. So it's been incredible for me.
It's absolutely incredible to have you, CS. You're at a very pivotal stage in your life, in your journey. The last couple of years obviously have brought a lot of challenges and setbacks and stuff that you've had to deal with. So tell us what this is like, what it's been for you over the last couple of years or so, and what's happening right now.
So to take you back a little bit, I did the first Dakar not to be the first Indian to do it. It was never my intention to be the first Indian. I wanted to basically earn a place in this whole world that we live in, to earn a little bit of respect for myself because I was the best in India and I'd won everything there was to win, but it felt like a big fish in a small pond. And I wanted to do more. So then I did the Asian Motocross Championship. The best finish I got was a 4th.
Wow.
So
that's not bad.
Yeah, so even then there wasn't really a career for somebody like me. And I was wondering in that manner, okay, I ride this motorcycle, but I want to do more in terms of earning the respect of the world. And that's when this cross-country rally, this whole thing unfolded. So in that manner, yes, I've been trying to basically earn that respect worldwide, not because I'm winning, but to be in a position that I can earn people's respect. So I've been basically following that. And the year that I crashed, I spent the most amount of time training the most. I'd become professional because before I was a guy trying to piece together a lot in terms of the puzzle, because as an Indian, it's not like there is an infrastructure available for athletes as such as me to excel in a sport, because we need to create the groundwork and also perform at the same time. So to try to do 2 things at the same time was kind of difficult for me. And then that year that I crashed, apparently, I'd set everything up to be a performing athlete. And I was basically trying to finish top 20 in the Dakar because I knew I could do that. And it unfolded in a manner and in a way that I never ever expected, not even dreamed about. That being said, I don't share any bad, I can't say it's a bad phase of my life because it's been so wonderful in a manner because it's beyond my dreams. Even to sit here with you, with Royal Enfield, is beyond a dream. So the fact that life is that, is going beyond your own imagination, because what we imagine is very limited. It's from what we know. And the fact that my world is expanded to what it is today has been an incredible journey for me.
Just so that our listeners kind of know CS, what exactly happened and what has been the process since then?
So the process was, what happened was apparently I crashed day 4 in the Dakar, and it was an off-piste. So basically you follow a cap heading. So, and apparently it was relatively flat. So I was like 130, 140 kilometers an hour on the sand, not a track, on the sand. And apparently there was a rock, the same color as the sand, and I didn't see it. And apparently before me, there was another guy that crashed on that same rock, but maybe a little bit luckier than I was. And after me also, apparently 2 or 3 guys crashed on the same rock. So it just caught me out in a manner that I couldn't continue after that crash. And I was told that I had to be induced into a coma because I was a bit crazy after the crash even. So they had to medically induce me to a coma and then airlift me and then keep me in a coma for close to 3 weeks, just because there was swelling in my brain, in my head. So that happened, and I don't remember more than a year or 2 of my life previously. Previous to the crash, I don't remember 2 years of my life. And
Nothing. You remember nothing?
Nope. Yeah, so I don't remember nothing in terms of who I met, what I did. None of those things are even there. And I spent close to a year trying to remember who I was. Because also with the kind of crash that I went through, you go into a traumatic depression, which is not a regular depression, but it's traumatic depression, which I didn't know as well. And apparently, even the doctors were surprised because I portrayed signs of, like, to give people an idea, the Joker used to laugh a lot, right? He was depressed. But that was the kind of depression that I was going through as well, in that manner, because I smiled a lot and I started laughing and crying for no reason. So that was the kind of depression that I was going through for more than 8 or 9 months of my life, which I didn't know as well. So even the doctors didn't know, but then they said, okay, let's put him on this. And then I recovered to finding myself, because I didn't even know who I was. Because how do you catch yourself? Being an athlete is not just about physical performance, it's about the mental mindset. And that mindset was missing. And I couldn't understand how that was missing. So yeah, it was one of those phases of my life that I don't think I have words to articulate it, but it was one of those kind of things.
And how did you deal with that? It's going to be almost 2 years since the crash, almost about 22 months or so. What was the journey through those? And you said you were medically induced in coma and the depression. How did you find the resilience and the determination inside of you? Where do you get that from?
So I always prided myself in terms of my strength, because mentally I knew I could overcome any obstacle. That's who I was. But for 8, 9 months, that guy was not even there. And I couldn't understand, not that I couldn't understand, I couldn't find strength. So in a manner, there was no strength at all, because I didn't possess any of that mental strength that I was known for. I knew myself like that. And I was trying to ask myself, where is that guy? I spent every day of my life asking myself that. So yeah, I just think I'm very human in nature, because now the relationships that I share with people is because we're all human at the end of it. And it's a inherent quality that all of us possess. And so that's pretty much why I have so much joy in my life, because I'm very human in that manner. So that's what got me through all of this, because time is a healer, and time did heal me also with some of the medication which I didn't want to take, because I didn't believe that an athlete can go through depression, and I went through it. So I took that, and also I had to basically relearn how to stand, how to sit, how to coordinate my hands and legs. Who does all this after a crash? I went through a dimension that I never ever thought was ever possible. So I did all the things because there was nothing else to do. In terms of, I just wanted to be human at the end of the day. So these are things I had to do to be human. So that's what I did. And I'm glad to be sitting here and having a conversation with you right now, because back in the day, I couldn't even piece words together. So it was that.
So when you were going through that process of recovery, trying to sort of feel human again and get what you were known for back into you, was it about, I need to get back on the motorcycle, I need to go back to the Dakar, or was it like, let me take it step by step? Just take us through what that process, your mindset was like, and did it keep changing?
So I was told by my parents, because I don't remember the first month also. I was apparently at home. I didn't even remember my house. I didn't remember my bed. I didn't remember people that I'm supposed to have known. So all those kind of things happened. And apparently I used to get up, sit up in the sense from my bed, and I used to look at the mirror and I used to tell my parents, nothing is wrong with me. Where's my motorcycle? I need to be back. Because I always thought that I was dreaming. I was basically at the Dakar sleeping in the bivouac and I'm having this crazy dream. That's what I thought. For 1 month, I thought that I was in a dream, thinking that, okay, I'm going to wake up soon. Because that's pretty much what I thought while I was going through. And yes, the first thought was to be back on the motorcycle because that's who I know.
So that's the first thought you had, was to get back on the motorcycle. And at what stage did you realize, wow, that's going to be quite something?
Yeah, so all of the work that I did, like you said, all of the work that I did, rehabilitation, was to basically give myself the opportunity to be back on the motorcycle. That was the paramount in terms of what I wanted to do the first 8 months, was to earn myself a position to be back on that motorcycle to race the Dakar.
And why is that so important to you? You won everything in India, from supercross to motocross. You were even fourth at the Asian MX and Supercross Championships. First ever Indian to be at and highly placed at the Dakar, multiple Dakars, rode for, you were a privateer, factory team. You pretty much did it all. You won the raid, you won the Desert Storm. Why was it to you so important to get back? And
so I also realized that I'm not special. I'm like everybody else. We all have this want to basically express ourselves with our own possibilities and potential, rather. Sorry, with our own potential, we want to express ourselves, just like anybody and everybody around this in this world. And that's what I want to do. Is my potential is being back on that motorcycle, to be on that journey, to finish, to find myself at the destination, which is of course the end of the Dakar. And that's what I want to do in terms of who I am. We all have purposes in life, and I'm not special because of that. So I realized that as well with the last 2 years of my life.
And what is the purpose now? What is your why?
The purpose is, of course, I love this life. It's wonderful. And I experience the magnitude of this life. I'm basically on that motorcycle. It enriches my life. And that's what I would never give up on, is that motorcycle.
Right. And what's it right now? How far in that whole rehabilitation process, and how confident are you feeling? We can see that clearly you want to do this and you're going to do this. And you're giving it everything you've got and more. Where are you? How far into that rehabilitation process are you?
So I'm at least happy that cognitively I can basically compute and do normal stuff. And I also started basically training my motorcycle. And physically also, I've started to get back into somewhat race-ready shape, because also after the crash, the chemicals that the brain sends out to the body, that also was altered. It's just not the mindset. Even the chemicals in terms of what the body produces was also affected in a manner. So all those things are coming back. So I'm happy about those things.
And you mentioned to me last night about sort of the rehab stuff that you've been doing and at the Red Bull Performance Center in Salzburg. You've been working with some of the best doctors in the world. Just give us a little bit of an insight about what is going in, even from that point of view, to get you back into full race ready shape.
So what I want to say to you is, just like how Royal Enfield is not just a company, it's a community, it's a family, is what I could see here. It's pretty much how Red Bull is. In a manner, they don't just treat me as somebody that is Red Bull athlete, because Red Bull is a family, and it's wonderful that they're able to extend themselves in this manner to give me the possibility to be back at the Dakar. And so yes, I was at the Red Bull Center and I consulted with the most amazing doctors, because they pretty much, all the world champions go to them irrespective of their sport. Even they had some problems in terms of rehabilitation, they all go to them. So I basically spent 2 weeks testing with them, and for them to analyze what my current situation is, and then plot a graph to basically have me back to being a race-ready athlete. So all those things have been plotted and have been done, and that's what they are helping me with a lot. And they've given me the confidence, saying that I can be back at the Dakar, but they've given me a time frame in terms of when I should be ready for that Dakar. I was actually planning to go back on 2023, and they said they can't vouch for it, but they said 2024 you can aspire for 2024 because that's the kind of time it needs for something that I went through. So I'm basically working behind the scenes for everything else, but that part of rehabilitation needs that time. So 2024 I'll be back at the Dakar for sure.
You will be back at the Dakar. Is that what
Yes.
you're saying? For the first time we're hearing
Yes.
it here. Is that
Yes.
Is that for real?
Yes, I'm so happy to say that I can be back at the Dakar, and I will be back at the Dakar in 2024.
Right. And so what are the next steps, CS, for you? What comes next in terms of this whole, sort of getting ready for 2024?
So the first priority is to give myself the opportunity to finish the Dakar, because the Dakar is not one day. So to get my body ready, my mind ready for that journey that I have to go through is what I'm doing now, because I know for sure I'm going to be at 2024 Dakar. And to align with people that the ethos in terms of who they are and who I am today is the most important aspect of my life.
CS, in our chats and even at the talk yesterday that we had with Nani, Roma and Ashish, you mentioned a fair bit about adventure and how you want the scene to grow. You have the Big Rock Dirt Park in Kolar on the outskirts of Bangalore. Not only are you or have you been a top level athlete, you've also been sort of taking on initiatives to give back to the community and to grow the scene. Can you tell us a little bit about why it's important to you and what you're doing on that front?
So Big Rock goes back to me being selfish, because I wanted to give myself the opportunity to train in India, because you couldn't basically train to aspire to actually have a good race internationally, which was basically Asian side. You couldn't do that coming from India. So I said, okay, let's build this facility for myself first. And that's how I built it. And then I went to the Reddy Himalaya, because after motocross wasn't working out, I still had this facility. In the sense, the track and all that kind of stuff.
You also mentioned that the Reddy Himalaya was supposed to be your last race.
Yes, exactly. So I went to the Reddy Himalaya and I met people who are not professional athletes, because I was only from TVS back in the day. I only competed professionally. And I met people like yourself that have a thirst for adventure, and they found out motorcycles, like all these people in Royal Enfield here at Rider Mania. So I met these kind of people. That was the first time I interacted with people of this caliber. And I said, okay, maybe I can help these guys a little bit, because they seem to love motorcycles, but they're not doing everything in a manner that will allow them to enjoy that experience in a race, so-called rally. So let me help them. So I invited 2 or 3 people that I met at the Reddy Himalaya to come and train with me. And I thought, okay, let me give you a pointer here and there that'll make your journey more enjoyable. And that's how Big Rock started. So I was able to help a few people, and I said, okay, this is something that I would like to do to lend some of my knowledge so they can better their lives. At the end of the day, it's not just a race, because it's basically a movement of sort. The adventure segment is a movement, and I want to contribute in this manner to the segment.
And how do you see this mindset being different to sort of other sort of cultures in motorcycling, other sort of genres? How is it very different to let's say cruising or pure racing, etc.?
So, of course, there are a lot of, like you mentioned, there are a lot of segments in motorcycling, but the adventure segment is the closest reflection of life. Because at the end of the day, irrespective of what that road or that journey might be, you enjoy that process. So whether it's off-road, on-road, road humps, beautiful roads, then to be amidst nature, and also in the heart of cities, to enjoy all of that on our journey is basically adventure. So I relate to people that are in this segment because they love life.
And what is your dream for the adventure segment in India?
I, of course, want it to grow, and I want it to basically have roots in a manner that is going to spread like a wildfire. I see that it's happening now in India in terms of the segment. It's growing, it's sprouting, and I can't wait for it to blossom. So I just want to be that.
Excellent. Any kind of last comments from you, Santosh? It's been an absolute pleasure last few days hanging out with you, seeing all the love that you've been receiving from everyone here. Also been a pleasure, sort of seeing you back on the Himalayan from the early days when you were involved in the development of the bike. So what's like a few things? I know you've also been hanging out with Nani and some really top-notch legends. What feelings are you taking back, and what comes next?
To say it in the shortest possible manner, I'd say I'm enriched, because every single day that you have an enriching experience, it magnifies your life. At the end of the day, that's what we leave behind, our stories. So the fact that my story basically has this as a chapter is wonderful. That basically interacting with people such as Nanny Roma, and also to be able to share a stage with someone like Ashish, because yeah, maybe I started the movement in terms of going to the DACA, but it didn't die with me. Ashish, as a privateer, basically endorsed it. So it is basically that movement, and it's lovely to see it in this manner as well. And yes, my life is enriched by this experience, and I take forward a lot of memories. But at the end of the day, like I said, there are stories I will leave behind.
Thank you, CS. It's been an absolute pleasure having you with us. And also, absolute pleasure hosting your first ever podcast.
Yes.
Thank you for everything. And I wish you all the best in what comes ahead with that mission that we have for 2024.
Yes, thank you
CS.
so much, Adarsh. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.